want to bet lead off on this one?
Sure.
Great. Here we go. I can't let it every time.
All right, I guess I'm first. I know the main answer was when you ask any athlete or coach this, that rankings don't matter. But to you guys, I know that's a big goal for you, is to be a ranked team, and you put in all this hard work to see a number next to your name, especially when you go on the road in the Pac-12. Just what is your guys' kind of mindset going into this weekend? I know you guys have been the underdog in a lot of situations, but do you feel like this time maybe it's a little different? You guys have a little bit more confidence with an undefeated record?
Yeah, I think so. I think just this weekend is an opportunity to play those ranked teams and to prove that we should be in those rankings. But as far as not being in them to this point, I don't think we're really worried about it. Just, doing what we need to do every day and just preparing ourselves for the challenges ahead to prove that we can beat ranked teams and we should be up there.
And Donovan, this is going to be your first Pac-12 road trip against two really awesome opponents that I'm sure when you were getting recruited that you have watched some of those games when they've come to Corvallis and you've seen these teams compete. Just how excited are you to finally get a shot to prove what you have against these awesome opponents?
Yeah, playing against these teams, obviously it's the first, like you said. I'm just excited to experience these first. You grow up and you watch these teams play. You watch them play against them, and you're like, this is exciting. This is going to be me one day. We've worked hard in practice, so, it's kind of a thing where all of us freshmen are just super excited to just experience it first.
Donovan, I'm just curious, what's these last couple of months been like for you, obviously? Just going through non-conference, now Pac-12, your first game against Oregon as a Beaver this past weekend, now USC, UCLA. Just what's it all been like for you in your first year so far?
Yeah, a lot of people could say as a freshman it's overwhelming. There's a little bit of that, but I have a good team that has my back. Lots of leaders on the team. They help you through everything. Again, 3 freshmen, so we all got our backs. We can all talk about things. Everyone pushes each other, so in practice, when you're pushing each other and a game happens, it's a little bit easier than you think.
What have been some of those moments, like you said, those struggles, and can you speak to some of those times where maybe some of the veterans like Talia, like maybe Reagan, or someone else in the team came to you and kind of calmed you down or helped you in a certain situation maybe where you felt a little bit more overwhelmed?
Mm-hmm. I would say the mental part is a lot different than you would think transitioning from high school. So having Talia, having Reagan, having Tamia, a lot of the leaders on the team have the knowledge already, doing college basketball for a few years. Talia especially, playing the 1 for the past few years, she has a lot of advice for me, how to just slow my brain down, the smaller details of the game. So I'd say that's the most difficult part, but she's doing an amazing job helping me.
What I've watched from you over these last couple of months is it seems like every game, the star guard, the star player, I'm always watching you taking that challenge and taking them on. I don't know if that's a decision that you have made or coach has made. You've got a star player and obviously Juju in USC. I asked Coach who's going to be guarding her. Have you at all stepped up and said, I want to guard her? Or is there a teammate that's been on the squad that says, I want to clamp her down this weekend and stop her from scoring?
I think our focus as a team is just whoever's on her locks in, focuses up, focuses on the scout. Really just whoever the coach puts on, but all of us have the mindset of whoever we're going to guard, we're going to do the job that we need to do, so just focusing in on that.
Talia, I'm just curious, what's been the biggest difference for you this season that you've noticed with this squad compared to the last couple of years that you've been with this program? What makes this group really special in your eyes?
Yeah, I think just the maturity to go with the talent that we have. And obviously, Ray down low is just a different force this year. I feel like I don't have as much pressure to score, and I can kind of just distribute and play more comfortably in that way. And then Dono and all the ones have been super solid and just get the ball up the court, get us into our stuff, which has also taken a lot of pressure off me. So I'm super comfortable. I think we just have weapons everywhere. This team's super deep. So I've said this before, but there's different lineups on the floor. It feels like a whole new team, whole different dynamic. So being able to do that, especially in the Pac-12 when you need, sometimes you need the athleticism out there, sometimes you need shooters. We have all those things in different ways, and so I think it's just going to be really hard to stop us and really easy for us to kind of throw out there what we need.
how much easier does that make you, that pressure off your shoulders, so that you can play more free on the court? You know, like you said last year or the year before, maybe where you felt like you had to be the scorer to make those shots. Now you feel like you can rely on his teammates, which I know Reagan's talked about as well, that if a starter is maybe struggling, doesn't matter. You have teammates that you can rely on this season, including for yourself.
Yeah, I think in my career I've definitely played against defenses that are loaded up against me, and this isn't a team where you can really do that to any of us. We have 5 scoring threats, 5 people that can score at different levels in different ways. And I tell Ray every day when I get the ball, I'm coming to her. I don't think I've missed her one time this year. That's my goal, is to get Ray the ball on the X, get her a layup. So that's always what I'm looking for. And then obviously as we get into Pac-12 and that gets tougher, you know, I'm going to have to step up, hit shots, find other options. But, you know, there's options everywhere on this team.
Talia, I spoke with Coach about your guys' trip to Maui. He called it the perfect experience, and obviously for you it was pretty big. So I just kind of wanted to hear your perspective between you know, obviously having the team over for dinner at your guys' home, to scoring your 1,000th point, to doing some of the community service stuff you guys did in the schools there.
Yeah, it was super cool to be able to get over there and just play in front of my family. I kind of knew I was close to 1,000, but I didn't know that I was going to hit it. That was kind of a surprise to me. I knew I was somewhere around there, but yeah, super cool to do that in front of them and just to get to see them. Some of them had never seen me play. My grandpa's only seen me play a few times in my life, so anytime I can get over there and play in front of them is super cool. And they're really into it, big fans, and they love our team. They loved having them over, so just super cool to see both extensions of my family come together.
Sure. Tell me more, like, what was some of the stuff you guys were doing when you went and visited the schools?
At the schools, we had a couple of different groups. One that talked to the older kids, which I was a part of, kind of just it's a very academic school that we went to, so just transitioning to college life in general, and a couple of them are athletes. And then a couple of them went with the younger kids and just played games. And then another group went with kind of like the middle schoolers, played games and just talked to them, got to ask them questions and tell them our experience. So super cool for them to have that visibility of college athletes and what that could be like.
Sure. Donovan, what was your experience like on that trip?
Yeah, I've gone to Hawaii with my high school, but this was a completely different island, obviously a different team. For me, it was really cool, the fact that her family opened their home to all of us. Us OSU players, we always speak on culture and family, but just seeing that perspective of her own family brought us in as their own was a really cool thing. And just being able to help all the little kids, speak to them, talk to them. For me, I was just in their position last year, so being able to just talk to them about whatever questions they have was really cool.
And Coach raved about the dinner that you guys had. I wanted to ask you, what was the menu like, and you know, how was it sharing that with your teammates?
Yeah, so the main thing was Kahlua pig, and then I honestly didn't even eat that much. I was trying to get food to everyone, but lomi salmon, I know, chicken long rice, and then I was making plates of like ahi nachos for everyone. So that was what I was doing. And then haupia is like a pie dessert type thing, so that was at the end. But yeah, I think everyone really enjoyed it, and it was super cool to see all of them try it.
I asked Coach when he was up his thoughts on the scheduling agreement with the West Coast Conference. The Pac-12, this is the last ride. Next year, a different sort of schedule ahead. I was just curious, you're a veteran on this squad, Talia. You grew up in Pac-12 territory, country. What are your thoughts on the schedule for next year with the West Coast Conference?
My thoughts, I think it's super sad to see what's happened to the Pac-12. Growing up, having been a fan and watched it and just being a West Coast kid, but as far as scheduling and all of that, we're in the Pac-12 this year, and that's all I'm focused on.
That's all you're focused on. So, and he said nobody on the team has brought it up with him. Do you talk about it amongst each other, or is it just really just not an issue you guys are talking about?
I think briefly, but we have goals for this year, winning the Pac-12, so that's the only conference we're worried about at the moment.
Against Oregon, your stat line was it had 8 assists and no turnovers. What's that mean to you to have a game like that, such a clean game, in a high-pressure game against a quality opponent? Is that the kind of game that you've kind of been pointing toward as a point guard on this team, or as a guard on this team?
Yeah, I think my role kind of changes every night, but I know that no matter what, I got to bring energy, leadership, and just ball control. Sometimes I'm going to get eight assists. Sometimes it's not, going to be that easy, but 0 turnovers is something I can control for the most part. So, yeah, just playing solid for this team, and I know that there's going to be nights where I'm going to score a lot of points, where I'm not going to have to score as much, so it's kind of just riding that out every night. But like I said, just taking care of the ball, leading, bringing energy on defense, that's what I focus on every day.
Donovan, you're getting ready for the downhill stretch of the freshman year. Where do you feel like you're at compared to maybe where you thought you would be at this point in the season?
Yeah, I would just say confidence level, gaining trust with my team, and just myself. Really, you go into freshman year you could set goals, but just survive in advance, really learn as much as you can, have an open mind to things, be coachable. So I think just every day focusing in on the plays that we're putting in, gaining leadership as I can. Point guard and a freshman, it's kind of hard because you don't think you have a role to speak. You kind of want to have other people speak to you. So slowly building that throughout my experience here freshman year is kind of what has grown the most, I would say.
Donovan, Coach talked about how in that game this past weekend against Oregon in the first half, the team felt tight. Whether I don't know if that was because it was Oregon, it was the first Pac-12 game, whatever the reason was, you guys obviously overcame that. How important do you think it was for you guys to be able to experience that tightness, get over that, and rebound in the second half, especially going up against, again, 2 top 10 ranked teams right now in USC and UCLA, knowing that tightness, that pressure, at least now, a little bit more out of the way?
Yeah. Those games happen. You start out flat, especially with our shots. They just simply weren't falling. We were having good looks, so those games are always going to happen. Watching them last year, they lost games, but they were really close games. So just having the confidence, I think, for everyone, seeing that we're able to overcome that little hump that's in the game, being able to just work through that, work as a team, builds confidence for any game, because if you're down, that we can just come together and actually work hard and only focus on next play. So I think that game just helped us kind of relieve things and build confidence within each other.
Perfect. Thank you, y'all.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
Go Bees.